First off, I started by replacing my eyelash curler pad. That's important to do. It was getting nasty. And pretty much I'm doing an entire repotting and repressing and repackaging of a lot of my products here. So here I'm taking my Graveyard lipstick products, which were in that blue container there. Mix of balms, really dark lipstick. I just want to lay it all out and see kind of how it looked in my lipstick pans here. It all fit, which was awesome. Melted that all down and just trying to see what kind of color I would get. Unfortunately, I got almost all the same colors, so and some of the lipsticks were quite old. So I went ahead and actually just ended up not keeping this palette. I don't think I was very excited about using it. Here I'm taking this pixie stick that's kind of more of a balm, and I did end up remelting those into these pans and then putting them into these little sample containers that it fit perfectly in. And I am keeping those and will be using those in new Franken balms and things like that. So here I am crushing up my Burberry eyeshadow in Rosewood. It's quite a taupey color, so I'm adding some more of my my Graveyard eyeshadows that are a little bit warmer. Went ahead and pressed that into a pan. I think I got most of it in there. Some of it I think was overflow, and I ended up putting that back into my Graveyard eyeshadow, which was fine. But I'm doing my kind of dry wet pressing method here, where I press it down flat, or as flat as I can when it's dry, and spray it down with alcohol and let it kind of absorb a few times over, and then kind of let that dry and kind of bind together that way. And it's worked for multiple shadows at this point, so that's awesome. So all those lipsticks have now dried down, and we'll just clean up the palette here, just kind of make it look nicer. Here I have my Freedom palette, which is pretty much it's actually a watercolor tin, and I'm putting all of my loose shadows, putting magnets on them, and just kind of seeing how they look. And I have some colorful ones and some face powders and things like that. So it's a whole mix of things, but it's really, these are all my Freedom shadows. I even was able to fit in those lip balms and even some samples that were just about the right height there. So that worked out really, really nicely. Ended up transferring them to the other side of the tin because it just worked better with the cover, and that was that. So here I am repressing my call it a bronzer. It's from MAC. It's quite a nice color. I think it actually looks more like what I would consider rosewood than what the taupey rose would look like. So now that I have an empty Burberry packaging, I really want to reuse it for a nice powder there. So this is pretty much a face powder at this point. I put in some kind of Graveyard face powder type products in there too, just to kind of bulk it up. Push as much of that as I could in there. Did again my dry press. Tried different types of tools to really get a good press, and it didn't end up working out very well the first time, so I ended up having to re-crush it into the pan, and then having to kind of re-dry press it, and then did the same situation with the spraying it down with alcohol and letting that dry. And it honestly turned out a really, really beautiful shade. Really happy with that. Really, really messy process. Ended up having to put some of the leftover powder into my Graveyard eyeshadow jar there, but otherwise it worked out well. That square pan was the MVP right there. All right, so the next one I did, I think looks like I was organizing my my condensed makeup palette, was cleaning up some of the palettes. So whatever was left in there was some remnants. I was trying really hard to fit those 4 pans in there, and it was just slightly off. And I didn't want to crush the eyeshadow, so I was trying different methods. I ended up taking apart this YSL packaging, and it just wasn't doing it for me. So that one didn't fit, and then I think later on I ended up actually taking out that metal pan, and then all the shadows would fit. So I think you might see me I was trying really hard. Oh, there we go. I took out the pan, and then finally they all fit. They were kind of rattling in there since I didn't glue it down or anything, so I think I found a powder puff and just put that on top, and then closed it, and that's just kind of how it's staying. I don't really use colorful eyeshadows, so that's just fine, but I like the packaging enough to try to keep it around. So there I fit in the YSL eyeshadow. I'm not keeping the YSL packaging, unfortunately. It's really pretty, but it's really, it doesn't lend itself well to really any of my other products. Here I'm cleaning up this Tatcha primer container, and I just really want to decant all of my primer into it. So that's what I did. It overfilled this one, and it overfilled some other sample containers. I think 3 of the small ones too, and so that was definitely a lot of primer that I'll have to work through, but this is where we are. This is what I get for not liking squeezy tubes and wanting to decant everything. But it's nice to have primer back in that Tatcha primer, because I had a cream bronzer in there for a while, and that was super messy on white packaging. Now I'm tackling my concealer palette. Really didn't feel like I was reaching for the concealer palette, so I tried to put it into smaller pans so that I would reach for it in my condensed makeup palette. I have a darker shade that works okay for my skin tone, but I just kind of combined everything, and the colors are better suited now for probably like my fall and spring skin tone, so I'll probably work on it then. And then I tried to transfer all of my cream blush into here. I only have one, other than that little pan, I had one other kind of package there, or of cream blush. So I tried melting that down into it. It melted down really weird, which I think told me that the product was quite old. So I did end up scrapping this as well, kind of the next day, but I think it was still a good experiment. So right here, I'm just showing kind of everything that I was able to work through, and that's about it.